ever. Light of sun in the sky sends the message, be fearless and play.
Well, here we are again.
Yo-ho! Yo-ho!
It is January 5th.
Yes, sir.
The calendar of man.
Good morning to you.
The beginning of the new year, 2018.
Whoop, whoop.
We have not been with you since last year.
Uh-huh.
We've missed you. Well, I've missed you.
I've missed you guys too.
This is me, NeSe, and
This is desigokey, NeSe. Good morning. Good. Uju.
and of course we got Wookiefoot in the background.
Yes, sir.
Be Fearless and Play is the album. I always say that it is better to be a child acting like an adult than to be an adult acting like a child.
That's a good one. I like that one. Good play on words.
And
Go
our
ahead.
technical challenges going on here. I don't know, Desi may testify to this, but I did turn on my do not disturb just before we
Yes.
started this.
I heard that. I was wondering that very
And
thing.
then, of course, technology wants to disturb the natives again.
That's a good one.
Technology disturbing the natives, the natural flow.
Yeah, the natural flow. Speaking of that, the weather has been real interesting. The winter got off to a little late start, but today we got a real fresh dusting outside. A beautiful day out there this morning.
As strange as it is, we've had a little cold bite
Mm-hmm.
that has hit us up for last couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah, it got down there. It was breaking all kinds of records here. Or as far as I know, I looked over. I think in Grand Portage area, it looked like it was 78 below the windshield the other day. So again, you know, the sign of the times with the weather.
Climate change, a new ice age, global warming,
Yes.
just the cycles of the
Right.
cycles of the cycles
right.
of the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with the powers that should not be, it is the cycles of the psychos that we are caught in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those biggest cycles that we're caught in is the calendar.
Right.
Because as we've talked in the past, if you do pay careful attention, you will notice things that are not conclusive to the natural flow of things.
Exactly. We're already getting reports from different relatives on that note with the full moons. Already, you know, I looked up this one calendar and it was saying, for example, I believe that July 27th of this year, 2018, it would be a full moon. Then I started looking around with different relatives and stuff, and they're saying they're getting different results with that moon not lining up as such, like you're talking about. This year, it seems to be out of whack, if you will.
And this is what I have brought up in the past, that I've noted that in this new year, along with the brand new year, we got a brand new full moon.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Brand new full moon. And then on January 31st of this month, the first month will be leaving us with another full moon. 2 full moons in 1 month, which is called the blue moon.
Once in a blue moon, hence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, ironically, this month's January,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to have this occurrence happening.
Okay. Now, I heard, like you're talking about, or what I realized rather, is according to ceremonies in February, we go by the full moons always. And this year I'm finding out so far there isn't a full moon in February.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's up with that?
So, in January, in the irony, we are having on January 1st a full moon, and then on January 31st a full moon.
Right.
So then that means February, which is how many days?
Was that 29 or 20?
28
28.
or 29,
Right,
depending on a leap year.
right.
But it is not a leap year, so it's 28 days. Now, in high school, do you remember them telling you how many days in a calendar lunar year there was?
365.
No, not how many
Oh.
days in the whole year,
Right.
365,
Mm-hmm.
but how many days in a calendar month
Right.
is 28 days.
Uh-huh.
So every 28 days should be a full moon or a new moon.
Right.
Okay, so January 1st is a full moon.
Okay.
And if a calendar lunar month is 28 days, the next full moon should occur on 28 plus 1.
29.
So January 29th should be the next full moon.
Right.
However, as we just discussed, it is slated for January 31st. So then that means this is a 30-day lunar month.
Right.
That's not what we were taught in grade school.
No. It is
So-
not adding up.
Not at all. And so, because of the 31st being a full moon, February 1st,
Right.
which only has 28 days,
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
the next full moon, should occur on the 28th of February.
Mhm.
However, they say no. It happens on March 1st. And then what happens at the end of March 1st?
What's that?
Another blue moon.
Very, very interesting.
So, all of a sudden, in the ironic occurrence of this experience we go through,
Now it's kind of like, where's the explanation, the rational explanation from the people that study such things?
well, the experience.
Okay, right? Well put.
At the end of what I was saying before, this experience that we are all in together.
Right.
We're all here together, and we're all witnessing different things.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what those things are,
Right.
can be a positive or a negative. Because if it is something that is keeping you from being positive, reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Research. Check it out. Don't believe me. Do your own research.
Right.
But as you do this research and you look at the cycles of the moon and the cycles of time, because that's another thing that I always talk about, sunrise and sunset.
And that isn't lining up either. We were trying to pinpoint that at the end of last year, 2017. And again, we kept getting these different answers from these, these people with backup with their ways and their research. And we kept getting all these different answers every day darn near there.
Well, even with the big boys, with all of their technological advancements and all of their computers,
Right.
you would think at least one reputable,
Right.
like JPL or NASA
Right.
or Greenwich Mean Time calendar,
Yeah.
someone would have the exact sunrise and sunset
Mm-hmm.
and the cycles of the moon. But they're all conflicting.
Right. Which, at least it sparked my interest for sure.
And so why? Well, I guess, should we hypothesize on how it's happening?
Yes, please.
I think the only way that the lunar calendar could be longer
Right.
is that if the position of the moon has distanced itself from us.
Okay.
However,
Right.
here goes the big one.
Okay. Geez, I would love to hear more about that because it certainly got me the big question mark and wondering. So, why wouldn't it be?
Nibiru,
There you go. You said it. Go
Planet
ahead.
X,
Yes.
the red dragon,
Okay.
the red serpent,
Uh-huh.
the blue kachina,
There you go. And like that,
wormwood,
wormwood is another one.
the seventh fire prophecy.
Oh, you went there. Okay.
Who knows? However, if this planetoid,
Mm-hmm.
or this brown dwarf,
Mm.
or whatever it is, that is showing scientific signs of gravitational pull,
Right.
electromagnetic attraction, and repulsion, the cycles of this and that are occurring as all planets affect all other planets in the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And because of it, it is causing the moon to be pulled in more of a egg. Oh my God, the
Oh.
egg.
Oh, the egg
The
again,
egg.
huh, Kevin?
The egg and I.
Okay.
The egg and I. We have not talked about the egg and I, but the egg-shaped orbit of the planets are occurring.
Wow.
And because of this egg-shaped orbits that are occurring
Right.
by all the planets, at some points they're getting closer to the sun and further from the sun, and it's causing the moon to be pulled closer to the moon, or closer to the earth, or further from the earth. And in this closeness of the moon,
Right.
it would make us see this next lunar moon or full moon as a supermoon.
Okay.
And the supermoon is when the moon seems like it's incredible close,
Right.
which then would go along with the theory of electromagnetic attraction or gravitational pull.
Okay.
If the alignment was where the gravitational pull of the moon was from across the solar system, so that all of the planets in alignment had a gravitational pull to the moon, thus bringing it closer, then looking brighter.
I see.
But this is just hypothetical.
Okay.
It seems logical,
Mm-hmm.
but then it goes back to the why are they not telling us this stuff?
Exactly.
That's where the big conspiracy theory goes.
So upon your own research, you were talking about that egg shape, the yolk, or not the yolk rather, but that shape of that egg, affiliating to what we're talking about. In that how the moon and all of that appears to be closer at that time. Is that correct, Kevin?
Well, if you look at, I think one of the most peaceful symbols, two-dimensional symbols,
Yeah.
is the circle,
Right.
the plane circle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of that circle, then within that circle, the center dot.
Mm-hmm. Center of the center, if you will.
Right. So if that center on the dot goes towards the circumference
Right.
of the circle,
Uh-huh.
as it pushes onto that circumference, then if the circle doesn't give,
Yeah.
then it will break and split,
Ooh. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so as that dot keeps pushing onto that point,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you get the egg shape, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so in the self-realization of that one point pushing upon the parameters of its circumference,
Yeah.
how far is it willing to go before it breaks?
Okay.
Because do you need to break on through to the other side, or do you want to break on through to the other side?
Uh-huh.
Because what are you escaping?
Uh-huh.
What are you running from?
Mm-hmm.
And with that egg shape,
Right.
so goes the cycles of our planets, the cycles of the moon. And as they go around each other,
Yes.
when they do that egg shape,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, if there is some disturbance in the force
Right.
caused by a extraterrestrial threat, Nibiru, that will cause chaos
Mm-hmm.
in the solar system, which, according to Greek literature, was the description of this occurring
Uh-huh.
in Earth's past
Right.
many times over. And so this government knowingly has over 107 underground bases
What?
that can sustain up to 1 million people for a certain number of years. The acronym for them are called DUMB. DUMB. Deep Underground Military Bases. 107 known.
Wow. Never knew about that. I heard about the underground, but I didn't know that was that.
Allegedly,
Real.
there is a tunnel that goes from Washington, D.C. to L.A. through the Rocky Mountains, of course, Colorado. That is less than an hour to get back and forth.
Really?
Yeah. And also interconnected is New York, where all the elitists like to play, but don't believe me. Remember, do your own research, reevaluate it, find a resolution, keep it rolling.
Hey, that's got a ring to it.
Keep it rolling, which is always a good idea, and I'm not really opposed to it.
And once again, in the background, Kevin, we have...
Wookiefoot,
Yes.
and we still haven't gotten hold of Mark. I haven't really tried a lot.
It's pending. They're busy, you know. Everyone's busy
Yeah.
this time of the year.
But thank you again, Mark, for allowing me, and I hope you're still going to allow me to use your incredible music as we discuss these things.
Chimiguage relatives.
Just to stuff a little knowledge into your cranium with my sledgehammer of love.
Please, please, please do.
And yeah, just sharing because I'm caring for the future of us all.
There we go.
Because a who is a who, no matter how big or how small. Horton, can you hear me? Horton, can you hear me?
Yeah. Kevin, can we go out there on a little bit of a limb, if you will, and in 2 more years' time, we're going to be getting to 2020. Your thoughts on 2020, the Odyssey books and everything, like when we were kids at the Indian Mission and like that. And so, could you expound on that a little bit, please?
If we get there?
Yes, if we get there. Good one. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and may the powers that are
Right.
allow us to get there.
Thank you.
Because-
Anything like with the chronological thing and the prophecies and that way with the 2020 thing?
Well, if we want to get caught up in man's calendar instead of trying to think of the ideology of the Native Americans calendar, where the only thing that we talked about was how many winters did you survive? And as far as our future we thought of,
Right.
it was from phase to phase,
Okay.
whereas it's like, okay, it's the middle of winter.
Ah.
Now what do we do to prepare for spring? One of the things that they would do is they would make these tubes,
Right.
and they would be filled with dirt,
Uh-huh.
and they would be hanging in the rafters of the wigwams.
Yeah.
And then they would plant the seeds.
Okay.
And then they would plant the seeds, and then by spring
Yeah.
they would open up that tube,
Uh-huh.
and they would see how long the root was.
Okay.
And then I think they would divide the root by 3,
Uh-huh.
and that would tell you how deep you were supposed to plant those seeds for that plant that spring.
Ingenuity, literally. That's brilliant.
Right.
Okay. So then that, correlating that to the time and the chronological thing.
So that's how far we look into our future.
Wow. That's beautiful. Brilliant.
And with that thought, it makes us concentrate more on the moments in front of us. Like that one,
Yep.
or that one,
Okay.
or that one. But I like this one, but that one was like this one, but that one.
Constantly moving then, and such.
Like the river.
Right.
So do we put our oars in the water and stir it? Or
Right.
we just be like that twig and just let it,
Flow
right?
with the current.
As long as you're going that direction, you might as well steer a little bit. Avoid the obstacles. Help yourself get through the rapids.
Right.
Help realize how hard you're pushing against your circle to be the cycle of the exactly contrary to the natural
Flow.
flow of the cycle when you push against
The river of time.
the river or the cycle.
Kevin, can we, I heard you mentioning perhaps maybe like the Gregorian calendar and such like that. Could you expound a little bit on that, maybe with correlating with the 13 moons and like that? Could you talk a
Well,
little bit about that?
From what I have looked at, The calendar system that we're in right now is called the Gregorian, and before that one was called the Julian,
Okay.
and before that one was called the Talk tick, talk tick, talk tick, talk. Look it up.
Okay. So the Julian and
So all of these were arranged because of some leader of the time declared it so. However, the Anishinaabe people, we went by our 13 moon calendar.
Right.
But then we also incorporated into that cycle the longest days
Right.
and the shortest days. Because it's a good thing to know when it's going to be the longest night.
Exactly.
Especially if it's going to be the longest night in the northern hemisphere where the temperatures get at record-breaking temperatures and we're allowed to sit in our homes and survive this.
Yes. Good, thanks.
However, in this survival, where it's against assurance policies to have a chimney.
What?
And to have, because then all you have to do is burn wood to heat your home.
Right.
And then you're not paying for electricity, or you're not paying for the gas.
Okay.
Because they're not allowing us to have Tesla technology on our roof, where it's collecting from the larger collector and giving us all free energy.
Right.
Thank you, Tesla.
Right. So the 13 moons as opposed to the 12 moons then?
Well, if we get into the Greek, well, which is off of the Egyptian, which is off of the Sumerians.
Right.
But in those legends and history, they talk about an individual getting toppled by the bad guy. And because it was a man in man's inhumanity,
right,
to destroy another man, to torture him, he can cut off his feet, then his calves, then his thighs, still keeping the guy alive, and then his hands and his forearms and his biceps, and still keep that man alive, torturing him.
Right.
And then cutting off his penis and still keeping that man alive and torturing him. And how many parts is that just got cut off?
Right.
The feet, the shins, the thighs, that's 6. The hands, the forearms, the biceps, that's 12. The penis, that's 13.
Oh, my goodness.
13 pieces.
Okay.
And you can still keep a man alive in the inhumanity of man in torturing another man. And the 14th strike would be the death blow. Now,
14 and 14?
Is there an interesting coincidence that in 2018, in the grand cycle of the year, can anybody guess how many full moons there may be? And how many new moons they may be?
How many?
I don't know.
Well, maybe our wonderful audience could call in.
Right. Call us at, and we'll talk about it. Oh yeah, hey.
Yes, sir.
Desi, how can people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through the email, the World Wide Web. I'm at desigokey, that's DESIGOKEY, at gmail.com.
And
How about you?
You can
Brother
send
NeSe?
you can send me an email at Highlariousness at gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
HIGHLarious NESE at gmail.com.
And again, we'd love to hear from you.
And
Drop us a line.
we'll let you know more and more as more and more occurs. And we got 3 more of these we're shooting at, because we want to do one with each Wookiefoot album.
Right.
Is the goal of me and Desi talking
Right.
and sharing what we're sharing.
Sharing is what? Sharing is caring. So it's a beautiful day, and loving this this segment on the cog, if you will, the gearbox of life, if you will, and that we're all connected. It's the grandmother spider, you know, the web of life, and the children of the sun, if you will. So I'm glad that you're sharing this morning. It's closing in on midday, I believe.
Well, we do it because we love you.
There you go.
And as the song behind us says, we may not have it all together, but together we can have it all. And this is one of the things that me and Desi talk about all the time, is having a community. And I keep saying I would like to have a cannabis community where we have the cannabis resolution in the regular world, and then we have the cannabis res solution on the reservations,
Sacred sacrament.
where they're working to and fro each other like a heartbeat in tangent, and helping us all move forward in our cycle so we can get off this cycle of the psychos.
And the intent is planted. The seed is planted.
Because we're always trying to plant seeds. And maybe this spring we'll start a cannabis camp.
Renewal, newness, springtime. Just add water.
Right? Wouldn't that be awesome if we could find 9 acres and start it off in 9 acres, and we'll start a cannabis camp. Anybody down for that? We'll start our very first cannabis community. And we're going to grow cannabis. If you're down with that, definitely get a hold of me. And we'll get that done. What do you think, Desi?
I think that's a beautiful, beautiful plan. And through the prayers and stuff, we hope to bringing that into fruition here soon. You know, the time is now, and now is the time.
Ah!
Now spelled backwards is 1. So yes, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful suggestion.
You heard my cry out there?
Yeah.
Did you catch why that was from?
That war hoop? The Keisha? No, where was it from?
That phrase you said.
Oh.
That phrase that freaks me out. He said it. He said it.
That might have been a Freudian slip.
Freudian. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Scary phrase.
Mhm.
Scary phrase. Always weirds me out. I remember in high school,
Mhm.
in typing class, we had to type over and over and over and over. Now is the time for all great men to come to the aid of their country.
Oh. Propaganda?
Yes.
And did it happen during typing class, or? Oh, you said that you had to type that over and over again.
Yes, and it was preconditioning.
Exactly.
Because now, there is no now.
Right. That is a
Because
what?
the minute you say now, that now is already gone.
Right.
So, just like if we say this moment,
Mhm.
or in the moment,
Yeah.
you know, and that now is the time, then here we get back to time. Man's ultimate want of controlling the natural cycle of just what's happening. Because if we weren't all caught up in that talk tick, punch in, punch out, I worked 3.27 hours today,
Uh-huh.
and the government's taking, what is it, 33.33% in taxes?
Yeah, why wouldn't it be that number? Yeah, interesting. I said that what I did there, and we're kind of on this topic of time, chronological manners and such. The 13 and the 12, the 2, goes on and on.
Well, you know, in that day, 24 hours in a day,
Yeah.
and where did that come from? That day, that cycle, the circle divided into 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 12 hours. Then we get back to Egypt. Horus. Horus. Hours. How many steps, Desi, did it take Horus to walk a day?
12 or 24.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
12 steps in the day, 12 steps at night. For a total of 24 hours, Horus stepped through the day. 24 hours. But the clock shows the 12 steps because the 12 is the division of the 24.
Right.
Which goes into the balance of the day. 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness. Which is a marking or a point on the cycle of the circle of the year, of the month, of the day.
That is very, very fascinating. It seems like they're trying to put us in a corner or something and paint us into a corner with this type of control mentality.
Well, as Mark is singing right now, when it talks about changing, we've just discussed how it is inevitable that change is occurring. The now is gone, the moment is gone. We have those few in our closest future. So what choice are we going to make in that future? How are we going to activate and create our reality?
Right.
Instead of living in our human time constraints. Because time is the illusion and it's their prison that we're in. Talk tick. Talk tick. I do hear an alarm. Who keeps hitting the snooze?
It's interesting that we have our wonderful talks and sharing circle here, if you will. Electronic feather, if you will. That we're always in time with the music or whatever we're sharing is what they're singing about in the background. So, the spirit.
Cataclytic exteriorization phenomenon.
Ah.
Synchronicities, coincidence.
Okay.
Some call it cataclytic exteriorization phenomenon.
I like that. That is a good one.
When those two webs of the spider cross, where we in our sphere cross, and as our spheres cross, and we create that Vexes Pisces, as we allow people within the circumference of our spheres, of our circles.
So breaking the chains of that very reality that they're trying to put upon us. If you will.
I think the successfulness of their endeavors of continuously having us in this prison,
Yeah.
or matrix.
Okay.
And if you talk to some of the flat earthers, oh,
There's another
right?
topic.
One of the parameters of the flat earthers is that we are in some kind of pre-construct matrix, like some digital fake reality. We're all plugged into pods,
Okay.
like on the Matrix. And yeah, if you haven't seen the Matrix series, I strongly suggest you look at the metaphors, the iconography, the symbology throughout that movie, because it is very in your face,
right,
of what is literally going on in this crazy experience that we're all living in right now. And the biggest challenge, I think, is trying to go through this existence with a healthy attitude so that you don't end up losing your mind.
Right.
Because reality is stressful sometimes. And how you deal with that stress will be a matter of dis-ease in your flow of your cycle.
Right.
And if you're going to get caught up in those cycles of the psychos, then God have mercy on our souls. Because at some point there's an attunement. And they say that at some point the devil's going to come anew, or the devil's going to come to cash his check. And by saying the devil, I mean evil.
Right.
You know, semantics. That's my... Wow, that's crazy. I don't know a Ojibwe word for evil.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow. That just hit me.
We'll have to look into that one as well, though.
Well, because we talk about spirits, and in the whole sense of Gichimanadu that the overall explanation of it is beyond our comprehensions. And in that existence of Gichimanadu, there's positive and negative, which goes into that Holy Trinity of positive, negative, and neutral.
Right.
And in the cycle, that's kind of what chugs us around. Just like the heartbeat, the boom, 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 boom. You know, just like the day and night, where we spin around the circle, the cycle, the sphere, the globe.
There you go.
Our blood cells, the spheres within spheres, the cycles within cycles, the wheels within wheels.
Gearbox.
And all of that going on. And when you sit down and you get into the moment, sometimes looking at all those gears can be overwhelming. And this is when we have to remember when we were little kids, when we were laughing and smiling and giggling,
Not a care in the world.
we didn't worry about how our heart was beating. We weren't worried about how we were breathing. We weren't worried about the cells going this way and that way in our bodies.
Yeah.
We were looking for fun and enjoyment. And unfortunately, in the cycles of the psychos, they take that away. Because they don't want us to play like children anymore. They want us to be adults acting like childs, when we should actually be childs acting like adults. Work hard, play harder.
There's that heartbeat you were talking about in the background.
Deep inside, that heartbeat, within love, without fear.
The mother.
I think that was the end of the Wookiefoot album.
It was good timing. Once again, serendipity.
Thank you for being here. We hope we got you thinking. And
I'm Desigokey.
and NeSe,
Much love. Gigawabamin Minawa.
Pe Gish Bimad Deziwe Wien, and toodles.